Wait, what? Is that a button? I wonder what it does. Huh? Nothing happened. Wait a minute. Oh my god! It's the super rare diamond house!
These are the funniest fake Minecraft speedruns because the speedrunners are absolutely terrible at hiding the fact that they're literally cheating. Now this first speedrun is very interesting to say the least, as the speedrunner sees an ocean right in front of them, so they start running right towards it. But inside of the ocean is what my real question is, and I'll let the speedrunner tell you what's inside the ocean.
There's an ocean? Oh my god, is that a pirate ship? Let's go!
I've never heard anyone call a shipwreck a pirate ship, but I guess technically they're not wrong. I don't really know. But the speedrunner jumps into the ocean and finds a chest which has some pretty normal loot, like some paper, an iron nugget, and even some feathers. Everything that seems legit in my eyes. So they take all of this loot and go back up to get some air, to then go back into the shipwreck and find another chest that has some normal loot, like coal, carrots, rotten flesh, and 5 obsidian, you know, like the normal loot. Alright, for real though, 5 obsidian seems kind of suspicious, I can't lie, because if you consider the fact that obsidian literally cannot spawn inside of shipwrecks, it makes this part of the speedrun just a tiny bit suspicious, I can't lie. Well, the spinner takes most of the loot because for some reason they leave behind the 5 obsidian, which at first I thought was extremely strange. That was until the spinner went back towards their spawn and started mining a tree when they said this.
Alright, we need
Yeah, the speedrunner realized that they left the obsidian behind, which I'm gonna be honest is kind of embarrassing. But the speedrunner goes back into the shipwreck and takes their 5 obsidian. Once they're back on land, they make themselves a crafting table and some sticks. They even turn all their iron nuggets into iron ingots. And this next part is just hilarious, because the speedrunner has no idea how the heck to make a shield.
Is that not how you make a shield? What the heck? How the heck do you make a shield? Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah, let's just pretend like that didn't just happen. But they also make themselves an iron sword and they break their crafting table. The speedrunner then just starts yapping like crazy until they find a ruin portal.
Alright, so far this is a pretty good start for my speedrun so far. It's good start. Ruin portal!
Yeah, they found a ruin portal and they start heading towards it until they open the chest. And once again, they find normal loot. At this point, I thought the speedrunner was trying to make it not too obvious the speedrun was fake, or at least that's what I thought, until this happened.
Alright, let me use my obsidian real quick. Hopefully I have enough. Oh my god, the exact right amount? That is so lucky!
Yeah, what are the chances they had the exact right amount of obsidian that they needed to finish the ruin portal? Now you could just say they got extremely lucky, but I think otherwise. The spinner then lights the portal and pushes down the crafting table to make themselves some golden boots. They then head straight into the nether. But wait, did you know that this speedrunner is subscribed? If I'm being honest, you should probably be too.
Alright, I hope I got a good nether spawn. Oh my god, is that a blaze? Oh, there's a fortress right there!
Yeah, they somehow found a fortress, but from this angle, it doesn't really look like it's a fortress. Well, the speedrunner starts fighting the blazes, and this part was extremely hilarious.
Get pooping on! Get pooping on! Holy moly, macaroni! Why are you guys trying so hard? Calm down! Oh my god, let me just kill you! Oh! Take that! Oh, I'm gonna die! I'm actually gonna die! Oh my god! Skeleton, get over here! Let me kill you! Take that! Oh my goodness gracious!
The speedrunner was absolutely struggling to kill these blazes and even the skeleton. And this is probably because they literally only have golden boots for armor. And at one point, the speedrunner gets down to like 3 HP, but of course they have a golden apple to help save them. They then start fighting the blazes and actually end up killing some. That is, until they have 3 blaze rods and they say this.
Alright, I think 3 is enough blaze rods for me. I'm not gonna do this anymore. I give up.
If you know anything about speedrunning, you know that 3 blaze rods is definitely not enough to be able to go to the end. The speedrunner then makes her way back towards the nether portal, but then it sounds like they start crying because the blazes are shooting at them again. Now I honestly kind of feel bad for the speedrunner, or at least I did feel bad until he said this.
Alright, hopefully whenever I go through the portal, I have more blaze rods because that's a super lucky thing that happens sometimes.
I've never heard of this super lucky thing that happens sometimes when you go through the portal and end up with more blaze rods. Well, guess what? They go through the portal and end up with more blaze rods.
Alright guys, I'm back. Oh my god, I got so lucky that I barely survived. Oh, look at that, 7 blaze rods as well. Oh my goodness, I'm so lucky.
You actually can't make this up. Also, as soon as they got back into the overworld, it said inside chat that they turned their game mode into survival, which proves that they were inside of creative. Well, I also think that the speedrunner hates nighttime because they say this.
Oh, dang it, it's becoming nighttime. Give me a second. Oh, wow, it's daytime. What the heck?
Yeah, I wonder how that happened, huh? Well, the speedrunner then says that they're gonna go mining for some stone.
I think I'm gonna go try to go mining for some stone all the way down in this cave.
But as they go deeper into the cave, they find something very, very strange.
Oh my goodness, what the heck? There's so many Endermen!
There are so many Endermen for some reason, and not only that, for some reason, they're just not moving. So I guess the Enderman just must be AFK or something, because I'm honestly confused.
I'm looking in your eyes! Haha, looking in your eyes! Dummy head, get crit! What the heck?
Yeah, apparently while the Endermen are AFK, they're also invincible. So instead of critting the Endermen, the speedrunner pulls out a bow and just starts bow spamming them and eventually even hits themselves.
Bow? What the heck? They're hacking! They're literally hacking, you freaking cheater! I just hit myself.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, I'm gonna be honest. Well, the speedrunner now has no way of getting themselves some ender pearls. Or at least that's what I thought until this happens.
But you know what? Whatever, I don't need the ender pearls anyway, because, damn, I already have 12, haha!
If we look at any point during the speedrun, they 100% never had any ender pearls. So I'm genuinely confused how they got them. Well, now that they have ender pearls, they start making themselves some eyes of ender, but I don't think they know how.
Alright, and then we make what the heck? What? I knew that. Don't worry, I knew that.
Yeah, I'm very sure you knew that, Well, now that they have eyes of ender, they go out of the cave and start looking around for a little bit. That is, until they find this very weird looking tree thing.
Alright, oh my god, what the heck? This tree thingy looks so weird. What the heck? That's so amazing and cool and weird.
So they start digging straight down in the middle of it, and before they even find stone, they find diamonds, which I could have sworn spawns way deeper than this.
Oh, it's a good thing I have 3 irons so I can make an iron pickaxe I can mine it.
They said it was a good thing they had 3 iron ingots. But if we go back to whenever they were inside of the cave, they only had 2. So where did they get this extra iron ingot? Well, they then make themselves an iron pickaxe and mine all of the diamonds, which eventually gives them 8 diamonds. So they use those 8 diamonds to give themselves a diamond chestplate. They also leave their crafting table in the hole for some reason.
No, crafting table, you can stay there. I don't want you anymore.
And they wander around a little bit more until they say this.
Alright, since that last cave was weird, I'm gonna go to this cave instead because, oh my god!
Yeah, they found an already lit end portal, which only has a 69% chance of spawning, so this is actually extremely rare.
The end portal's already lit, so I don't even need these stupid dummy things.
Now that they throw away their unneeded eyes of ender, they then jump into the portal, and now that they're in the end, we can see that the ender dragon is already losing some health, which alone is very suspicious. Not only that, as they make their way towards the ender dragon, we can see this weird pile of what seems to be poop. And it also has a sign, but we cannot see what's on the sign. Where the speedrunner starts critting out the ender dragon until they get flung into the air.
Oh my god!
And I'm not even joking, right here the speedrun ends. And that's it. So I guess the speedrunner lost? I don't know. This speedrun starts right next to a village, as we can see a villager's house right next to them. So the first thing the speedrunner does is go into the village and start stealing all of the crops from the villagers. Now that the speedrunner has a decent amount of food, they then head over to the blacksmith. They open the door, and inside the chest is some normal loot, like a piece of iron, 3 emeralds, a saddle, and a revolver. Last time I checked, there weren't guns inside of Minecraft, but I could have just missed an update. Well, the speedrunner takes this very legit loot out of the chest and leaves the blacksmith. They begin showing off their very cool looking revolver, which honestly looks pretty big. The speedrunner then runs around a little bit until they suddenly pick up a stone pickaxe. The stone pickaxes don't just randomly spawn on the ground like that. So I feel like the speedrunner just went inside a creative and placed on the pickaxe before the speedrun even started. The speedrunner then finds a patch of gravel and they begin mining it. But the speedrunner just doesn't have dream luck, so they get no gravel. So they have to place down more gravel and then break it until they eventually get a flint. They then use that flint and the iron that they got from the blacksmith to make themselves a flint and steel. Now that the speedrunner has a flint and steel, they go down the mountain some more until they find this weirdly looking square, which actually kinda looks like a door. The speedrunner breaks directly in the middle, and that's when they find a nether portal, which for some reason is already lit, which means means that the speedrunner didn't even need to make themselves a flint and steel in the first place. Where the speedrunner goes into the portal, now that the speedrunner is in the Nether, they look around for a little bit until they find a fortress, which means that the speedrunner got a pretty lucky Nether spawn. The speedrunner then tries building up, but a piglin tries to stop them. But the speedrunner is too good at PvP and kills the piglin, which drops a golden sword. The speedrunner finds this weirdly dug out hole, so they drop down into it, which leads them right to the fortress. Not only that, but there's also a chest in the fortress. The speedrunner opens the chest and finds a shield, an iron sword, an iron chestplate, and iron leggings, which are all things that typically do not spawn inside of fortresses. Well, either way, the speedrunner takes all of that loot and begins to explore deeper inside of the fortress. Eventually, the speedrunner finds a blaze, so they just kill the blaze, but there is also a spawner here. But blaze spawners don't just randomly spawn inside of fortresses, so I think that the speedrunner just placed down this spawner here. Well, either way, the speedrunner kills the blazes, but then a random cut happens, and the speedrunner suddenly loses an entire level, and all of their items are mixed around, which leads me to believe that the speedrunner died, but just simply cut it out to make it look like they actually didn't die. The speedrunner tries to kill some more blazes, but they are running low on food very fast, so they begin making their way back towards the portal, and that's when they just simply leave the Nether. Now that the speedrunner is back in the overworld, they go around the village a lot trying to look for some food, and that's when they find some pigs inside of a pen, so they just start killing them and eating their food. But wait, I just realized that the speedrunner somehow has 11 blaze rods. But if we look at the footage from before, the speedrunner definitely did not have 11 blaze rods, which means at some point during the speedrun, they must have given themselves some blaze rods when no one was looking. But this is also when the speedrunner opens up their inventory and we can see that they have tons of ender pearls. But not once inside of the speedrun did we ever see them gain any ender pearls, so I'm honestly very confused. The speedrunner then turns their blaze rods into blaze powder and makes themselves some eyes of ender. But instead of throwing the eyes of ender like a normal speedrunner would inside the situation, they instead start traversing down a mountain. They then grab some hay. They also look directly into the eyes of this enderman, but for some reason the enderman just didn't attack them. The speedrunner then finds a giant cave, so they jump down into some water. They then 1v1 this creeper until it blows up, and the speedrunner finds an end portal. I could have sworn the end portals usually spawn inside of strongholds, not just inside of random caves. Well, the speedrunner places in their eyes of ender and enters the end. Once they're in the end, they're faced with a severe problem. Their platform is way too high up, and the speedrunner is only on 5 hearts. And I honestly don't think there's any way for them to jump down onto the island without dying. So if they die, I think everyone should probably subscribe. Well, the speedrunner has no option but to just simply jump, and that's exactly what they do, but they just die. So I guess that means that everyone has to subscribe. The speedrunner starts by immediately building themselves a nether portal. Once they're in the nether, they're right above a fortress. And for some reason in the fortress is an enderman. The speedrunner kills the enderman, but then suddenly there are 2 blazers trying to kill the speedrunner. Wait, what? Mario, where did you come from? Okay then. The speedrunner uses their ender pearl, and Mario uses the blaze rods, and they throw them in the air to create an eye of ender. Once the speedrunner gets to the stronghold, they place in the eyes of ender and enter the end. They also instantly kill the ender dragon by throwing a sword at its face. And that's how the speedrunner wins the speedrun. Oh wait, this is the wrong footage. Oh my god, I am so sorry. I am super duper close to 30,000 subscribers, so if you could subscribe, that would honestly make my entire day. This speedrun starts pretty normal with the speedrunner immediately mining a tree. They mine 4 logs when they suddenly dig straight down and find a chest. But listen to the reason why the speedrunner dug down in the first place.
Alright, I think that's enough wood. I'm gonna go mine for some stone now. Oh wait, a chest? I was not expecting a chest to be here.
Yeah, apparently they were trying to mine some stone, but accidentally found the chest. I don't know if I believe them because I don't think random chests spawn here in the first place. But the speedrunner opens the chest and finds an iron pickaxe. So they take the iron pickaxe and build out of the hole. That's when the speedrunner realizes that they spawned right next to a village.
Oh, and I'm right next to a freaking village. This is the most luckiest spawn ever.
So the speedrunner heads towards the village and they enter the first house, which has a barrel. But for some reason, the barrel has nothing inside of it. And the speedrunner says this.
Ooh, a barrel? Oh, let's see if this barrel has anything inside of it. Oh, nothing? Oh, okay, wait a minute.
They exit the barrel, then reopen it, and there's suddenly full diamond armor inside of the barrel. Which I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea how the heck they did that. And this is the speedrunner's excuse for there being full diamond armor inside of that barrel.
I think the full diamond armor was just glitched, so that's why it wasn't in there.
Yeah, I'm sure it was just a glitch. Speedrunner then goes inside of some houses and steals some beds, which is actually a pro speedrunner strategy. The speedrunner finds some hay bales and starts mining them, which I honestly thought they were gonna use for food, but the speedrunner says this instead.
We're also gonna need some hay bales for the hay bale clutching.
Apparently he's gonna use the hay bales for hay bale clutching, so I think this speedrunner doesn't even realize that you can use hay bales for food as well. Well, right after this, we can see a wandering trader inside of this village. Now, at first, this might not seem like a big deal, until you realize that wandering traders only spawn after 14 days of the world being up, which is like 2 hours in real time. So the speedrunner just started the world, there should be no reason that there's a wandering trader here. The speedrunner then finds a ruin portal, and if you've ever seen a ruin portal before, you know that this is not a real ruin portal. Because not only is the ruin portal already finished, there's also no lava or magma blocks. But the speedrunner opens a chest and finds a flint and steel. So they light the nether portal and enter the nether. Once in the nether, they look around and find a hole filled with striders, which has gotta be the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen. But then the speedrunner suddenly says this.
Them silly striders. Well, I'm gonna need some gold to trade with the strider.
Yeah, apparently they're gonna need some gold to trade with striders. Even though I thought the only way that you can trade with striders is if you give them a dragon egg. But maybe they added this in the newest update. The speedrunner then says they're just gonna simply mine some netherrack, and then this happens.
Well, I'm just gonna mine for some netherrack so I can try to find gold. Oh, gold? Oh my god, right behind the netherrack? That's so lucky, and there's so much gold.
Yeah, apparently there's just random gold blocks behind this netherrack, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe that for a single second. Well, there was a lot of gold blocks, so the speedrunner now has like over 100 gold ingots, and they drop an entire stack on the striders. The speedrunner then says they're gonna leave.
Alright, I'll be right back. You guys better have the goodest trades ever, but when I get back.
And when they come back, something strange happens.
Alright guys, I'm back. Let's see if you guys have any good trades for me. Oh my goodness, 27 Eyes of Ender? You guys are so nice, thank you.
The striders gave them 27 Eyes of Ender, which I didn't even know was possible. But the speedrunner goes back to the portal and leaves the nether. Once they're back in the overworld, they throw their Eye of Ender to try to find where their stronghold is. They then find this normal looking tree and say this.
Oh wait a minute, that is a cool looking tree over there. I'm gonna check if there is a stronghold beneath the tree, because I feel like it.
Oh, I swear to God, if there is a stronghold beneath this tree, I'm actually going to flip. Well, they dig straight down next to the tree and find an end portal.
Oh my god, there is! That is so lucky!
Oh yeah, I'm sure that is so lucky, wow. Well, they just place in the Eyes of Ender and enter the end. But once they're in the end, for some reason, there are tons of Ender Dragons.
Oh no!
The speedrunner then tries critting out the Ender Dragons, but they're doing no damage, so they placed on the bed that they got from the village and just blow themselves up, and their reaction is priceless.
Take this bed! Oh.
And I'm pretty sure they just give up on the speedrun because it just ends here. The speedrun starts right next to a village. They immediately head into the village and just run in a straight line until they suddenly pick up an iron axe. But if we put the footage in slow-mo, we can see that the iron axe literally fell from the sky, which in case you couldn't tell is obviously not legit. The speedrunner then uses this iron axe to go inside of several of the villagers' houses and steal all of their beds, which is actually a good speedrunner strategy as they can use those beds to kill the Ender Dragon. Once they have 4 beds, they enter another house which has a chest, and inside of it is the most random loot I think I have ever seen. Like, what the heck is he gonna do with literally any of this? Well, the speedrunner takes all of this loot and then leaves the house. The speedrunner goes in third person, and that's when they spot a cave. They enter the cave, which has a spawner with tons of chickens. Don't get me wrong, spawner rooms are a thing inside of Minecraft. They just never have chickens chickens inside of them. Well, the speedrunner starts going on a chicken killing rampage, and that's when they realize that there's actually ender chests instead of normal chests. So the speedrunner opens it and finds full netherite armor, which is obviously completely fake. Well, fake or not, the speedrunner takes all of the armor and the sword and kills more chickens. The speedrunner tries to leave the spawner room, but they have no blocks to get out. That's when suddenly their netherite sword easily breaks the cobblestone, which I didn't even know was a thing. They leave the cave and start exploring more of the village. But that's when they find this super duper long path. So of course the speedrunner follows the path, and as they're on the path, we can see this floating carrot. And it looks like whoever's holding the carrot is eating it apparently, until the carrot suddenly vanishes. Well, they ignore that and go down the path some more until they find this ruin portal. So the speedrunner goes up to the chest of the ruin portal and finds some pretty normal loot, other than the fact that there's an odd amount of obsidian here. The speedrunner takes the loot, and turns out that this obsidian was the exact amount they needed to finish the ruin portal. But I'm sure that the speedrunner just got extremely lucky. But they use the fire charge that they got from the ruin portal and light the nether portal. Once the speedrunner is in the nether, they find this extremely long red vine. So of course the speedrunner goes up the vine, and then even use their horn as they're climbing it. Once they get to the top, there's really nothing here. That's when tons of eyes of ender start falling from the sky, which I'm pretty sure I heard about was in the newest update. So believe it or not, this part is actually legit. The speedrunner then picks up all of the eyes of ender until they have 27 eyes of ender, which I'm pretty sure is more than enough eyes of ender. They then start heading down the vine and go back through the nether portal. Once they're back in the overworld, they throw their eyes of ender to see where the stronghold is. Wait, why are they going in the opposite direction? But the speedrunner just starts swimming in the water for some reason, and then they suddenly fall into a hole which has an end portal. Not only that, there are tons of signs with the most random things on the sign. Now, I'm not gonna read them all, but you can pause it and look at it, because these signs are just crazy. They place in the eyes of ender and enter the end. Once they're in the end, they find this weird hay bale parkour, which I'm gonna be honest, looks pretty easy. But the speedrunner goes for the first jump and fails it. Wait, never mind, they made it. I think I just saw the footage wrong or something. They then do the rest of the parkour pretty darn easily until they get to the main island. Now, before we get into this dragon fight, I'm gonna be honest, this is the weirdest fight I've ever seen. Because, spoiler alert, the speedrunner doesn't hit the dragon a single time, but they somehow win the speedrun by killing the ender dragon. Well, they start by just standing still and swinging at tons of end crystals, which for some odd reason just break. And they do this to literally every single end crystal in the entire end. Now, once all of the end crystals are broken, they do the same thing to the ender dragon. But the thing is, we can see a sword literally chasing the ender dragon down, hitting it over and over again. And even at one point, their potion effect wears off, and we can see this guy inside of creative just flying around smacking the ender dragon. They make themselves go back to being invisible, and the speedrunner just keeps sitting there swinging as if they're actually hitting the ender dragon when they're clearly not. And eventually, the ender dragon just dies, and the speedrunner wins the speedrun. The speedrun starts inside of a savanna biome, and surprisingly, things are pretty normal. They look around to see if they have a good spawn, and they don't really see anything, so they begin by mining a tree. They mine a few logs and turn those logs into planks. They then make themselves a crafting table and sticks, and use a crafting table to make themselves a wooden pickaxe. They break their crafting table to take it with them, and that's when they find a ruined portal. But for some reason, the speedrunner turns around to start beating up this weird ball thingy, and then they actually decide to go to the ruined portal. The speedrunner opens the chest and finds some pretty normal loot, other than the fact that there's a piece of iron inside here. And ruined portals never have iron, so this is actually pretty confusing. But they take the loot from the chest and use the flint and the iron to make themselves a flint and steel. They then place the 4 obsidian to block off the lava, and then they light the portal. Once they're in the nether, they look around and they realize that they got a terrible nether spawn. But then if I pause it right here, do you see anything suspicious? Cause I do. Alright, if you don't see it, it's actually this red thing that is just randomly placed all by itself. So the speedrunner goes right up to it, breaks it, and breaks the block beneath it to find a chest, which has tons of blaze rods and ender pearls. The speedrunner takes all of the loot and uses the blaze rods to turn into blaze powder and make themselves some eyes of ender. They then go back through the portal and start going in a random direction. That's where they find this stone wall that they randomly start mining for no reason. As they begin digging straight down, they find a hole which has a stronghold. Not only this, there's also a sign that says stronghold, just in case, you know, we couldn't tell it was a stronghold. Yeah. The speedrunner places in all of the eyes of ender and enters the end. Once they're in the end, they realize that they're stuck in a box, so they use their wooden pickaxe to break out and use their extra ender pearl to throw it, and once it lands, the speedrunner speedrunner starts heading towards the Ender Dragon. But that's when they come up with this absolutely 200 IQ play. They place their end stone in a weird shape that honestly makes me a little bit hungry. Wait, what? Where they go up to their thing that they made, and a very clear cut happens, and the Ender Dragon is now dead somehow, which of course isn't suspicious at all. Well, now that the Ender Dragon is dead, the speedrunner wins the speedrun, I guess. The speedrun starts in a plains biome. The speedrunner then turns around where they find a village. Now, first of all, this could just be a very lucky spawn. Well, the speedrunner heads into the village, and they find a blacksmith. So the speedrunner enters the blacksmith and loots the chest. And inside the chest is technically legit loot, because they found full iron armor, and that is extremely lucky, but we have no proof that they cheated that into the game. Well, the speedrunner takes most of the loot from the chest, but wait a minute, if we look inside their inventory, we can see all the items that they just got from the chest. But they also have 2 netherite. But if we look back inside the chest, there was not 2 netherite inside of it. So where did they get 2 netherite from? Well, if we rewind the footage to exactly here, we can see that they actually picked up netherite right before they opened the chest, which in case you didn't know is actually not legit. But the speedrunner puts on all of their iron armor and leaves the blacksmith. They begin walking down a path, but wait. Just pausing the video here, we can see 2 things extremely wrong. Firstly, being the crafting table, because random crafting tables don't just spawn like this, but there's also a floating pig. Like what? I'm pretty sure pigs don't fly. I think. Well, the speedrunner enters the crafting table and makes himself a shield. They begin walking down the path some more, and they completely ignore the pig. Well, I guess the speedrunner just didn't see the floating pig, right? Maybe? I don't know. But the speedrunner goes up to another house, but wait. This staircase looks a little bit weird. Well, the speedrunner ignores the staircase and enters the house where they find 3 beds, which is definitely not suspicious at all. But there's also a diamond sword, because of course there is. The speedrunner takes the diamond sword and breaks all 3 beds. They leave the house and steal 2 hay bales. They wander around the village for quite some time until they enter another villager's house and find a chest which has a rabbit foot. Yeah, I don't know what else you want me to say about this. It's just a rabbit foot. They take the rabbit foot and exit the house. But wait, did you see that? As soon as they went to exit the house, we can see a floating sheep. I didn't even know sheep could fly. And you know, I'm starting to think that this world might actually just be cursed, because what happens later is absolutely crazy. Well, the speedrunner takes some carrots from a farm and they randomly go inside of the forest. And that's when they find a ruin portal that's already lit. But wait, do you notice anything weird about this ruin portal? Because I do. First of all, there's no chest, and every ruin portal always has a chest. Not only that, but there's also several pieces of nether golden ore, which ruin portals definitely do not spawn that. So I'm thinking that this speedrunner just made this ruin portal themselves, and they did a terrible job. Well, the speedrunner enters the nether portal, and they get a pretty lucky nether spawn because they're literally in the fortress. But something is very, very weird about this fortress, because we can see a nether quartz path on the ground, which is obviously fake. Of course, the speedrunner follows the path, which brings them right to some blazes. The speedrunner starts absolutely destroying the blazes, and at one point they look around for 2 seconds where we can see a floating chicken. Yes, a floating chicken in the nether. That makes sense. But of course the speedrunner ignores the floating chicken and kills some more blazes. They get 1 blaze rod and start heading back towards the portal. But if you've ever played Minecraft before, you know that you're definitely gonna need more than just 1 blaze rod. Well, they go in the portal, and once they're back in the overworld, they start heading back towards the village. But whoa. How does the speedrunner have 9 blaze rods? Because we literally just saw them only have 1. So this part of the speedrun is definitely not legit. Well, once the speedrunner is back in the village, we can see some mushrooms on this wood, which further proves my point that this world is definitely cursed. And not only that, we find this weird dead bush thingy on the ground. The speedrunner then breaks the bush and digs directly beneath it, and the speedrunner starts falling down super duper fast. They might die, but they land in some water. Not only that, they're also in the trial chambers area, which is extremely rare. They look around for a little bit in absolute disbelief. But did you see that? If we rewind the footage and pause it here, we can see what appears to be a villager. But I'm pretty sure villagers aren't in the trials chamber area, because villagers can only spawn in end cities. So a villager being right here literally makes no sense. Well, the speedrunner goes up the staircase where they find an end portal. But something is very, very off about this end portal. They're missing 3 end frames. And without those 3 end frames, they literally cannot go to the end. But don't you worry, because they find a barrel that has the 3 end frames that they need and a stack of ender pearls, which is pretty darn fake. The speedrunner turns their blaze rods into blaze powder and makes himself 12 eyes of ender. They place in all the eyes of ender and enter the end. Once you're in the end, they build towards the middle island and they start running towards the dragon, but once again, we can see a floating animal, but this time it's a cow. But not only that, we also see that there's no ender dragon, but instead, there's a very weird looking portal in the middle. So the speedrunner just jumps into the portal and beats the speedrun. This speedrunner starts in a plains biome. They find an iron golem, even though I'm pretty sure iron golems only spawn inside of villages, not in the middle of a forest. So the speedrunner somehow one-hits the iron golem, and at first I was pretty confused, but then I realized that the speedrunner was Mr. Krabs, so it makes sense. Well, Mr. Krabs uses the iron he got to make himself a bucket, and he throws the bucket at a lava pool, which makes a nether portal, even though I'm not sure that's how that works, but okay. He enters the nether and finds a fortress chest, which somehow has diamonds, even though diamonds cannot spawn inside of another fortress chest. Oh my god, wait, this is the wrong footage. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to reach 100,000 subscribers and I'm not even halfway there, so if you could subscribe, that would genuinely mean the world to me. This speedrun starts in a desert. The speedrunner turns around and finds a desert pyramid, which right off the bat is a lucky spawn, but not only that, they're also next to a village, which makes this spawn even luckier. Well, the speedrunner enters the pyramid and starts digging down when they suddenly land on the pressure plate, but for some reason nothing happens. Well, the speedrunner loots every single chest and they actually find surprisingly some normal loot. Just some golden apples, some sand blocks, and emeralds. Nothing out of the ordinary. But they use the sand blocks to get out of the pyramid and they make their way towards the village. Once there, they enter a house and find some leather armor, which once again is normal loot. But everything changes whenever they enter this house, which has a chest that normally is not in this house. Not only that, the chest has diamonds, iron, sticks, and an iron chestplate, which I'm not gonna lie is definitely fake. They take all the loot and put on the iron chestplate, to then make a crafting table, turn their iron nuggets into an iron ingot, and make themselves an iron pickaxe. They also make themselves a diamond sword. They break their crafting table and start exploring around the village. But wait, did you see that? This house right here has some obsidian sticking out of it, which is obviously not normal. The speedrunner makes her way towards that house and turns out it's actually a nether portal. The only problem is that it's not lit and the speedrunner doesn't have a flint and steel. So look around the house a little bit until they find a flint and steel. Wow, I definitely did not see that coming. They take the flint and steel and light the nether portal. Once they're in the nether, they realize that they got a pretty unlucky spawn. So the speedrunner makes her way towards a wall and just mines her way into it and looks at the wall and then turns around and mines the blocks that they just broke, but now they're in the fortress, which logically speaking makes no sense. Well, they also found a chest, and inside the chest is tons of eyes of ender. What the heck? You don't even need that many eyes of ender. Well, either way, this speedrunner takes all of the eyes of ender and looks to the right and finds a nether portal. So obviously they go through the nether portal and they spawn in the middle of nowhere. Or at least that's what I thought until they found a random portal on the ground. Even though I'm pretty sure these portals spawn way deeper in the ground than this. Well, the speedrunner places in all of their eyes of ender and enters the end. Once you're in the end, they find a very weird staircase. But that is the least of my concerns right now, because if you look at the top of the screen, we can see an ender dragon's health and a wither's health. I didn't think withers spawned in the end, but I don't know, it could have been in the newest update. The speedrunner tries to kill the wither and just keeps on trying to smack it. And the wither does not like this at all, so the wither starts killing the speedrunner, and the speedrunner gets extremely low. So they eat their last golden apple, but it's not enough to save them, because not only do they have the wither killing them, they also have an enderman and the ender dragon. And the speedrunner just ends up dying to the ender dragon, which I'm not gonna lie is pretty embarrassing. This first speedrun starts right next to a village, as we can see what appears to be a blacksmith right next to them. They begin to head towards the village, and they enter this first house. But watch carefully for what happens whenever they open this chest. As we can see, they looted the chest, giving them some bread, some saplings, an apple, and even a book. So how do they have 3 ink sacs? Well, if we rewind the footage, we can see another player's arm through this window, and this person drops the speedrunner the ink sacs. But I'm confused why the speedrunner even needs ink sacs to begin with. Well, they leave this house and begin going towards the blacksmith. And before they open the chest, this is where things get very, very weird, because inside of the chest is so many diamonds. So they take everything out of the chest and leave the blacksmith. They find some hay bales and begin taking all of the hay bales. Once they're finished doing that, they begin to enter another house. But wait, if we rewind the footage, we can see that this house door was already open, which typically never happens because villagers always close the door behind them, which means the speedrunner must have left this door open on accident. Once they're inside the house, they look at the roof, and out of nowhere, they're in a crafting table, which is genuinely just confusing. But the speedrunner turns the hay bales into wheat, and the wheat into bread. bread. They then use their diamonds to make themselves basically full diamond armor except for a helmet. They put on the diamond armor and leave the house. And instead of exploring more of the village, the speedrunner begins to leave the village. They begin walking down this river until they see a ruined portal in front of them. But once again, if we rewind the footage, we can see that for some reason there is just a breeze sitting here, which is actually a mob in the newest update. And they don't just randomly spawn above ground like this, because they can only spawn in end cities, which makes the fact of this breeze being here very, very confusing. Well, they completely ignore it and just head towards the ruined portal. They open the chest and find a god apple, which, don't get me wrong, it is possible. It is just extremely rare. They take the rest of the loot inside the chest as well. They then just look at the ruined portal, then turn around, then turn back around, and the portal is suddenly fixed, which I have a weird suspicion could have been that player that we saw earlier. The speedrunner then goes through the portal, and once they're in the nether, they begin mining a tree. And everything seems normal at first until they suddenly get dropped some blaze rods. But it doesn't stop there, because they also get dropped some ender pearls as well, which once again, I believe is the player that we saw earlier. They then access their inventory and turn their blaze rods into blaze power to make themselves some eyes of ender. Now that they have eyes of ender, they go back into the portal to go into the overworld. Now instead of throwing their ender eyes like a normal speedrunner would, they begin randomly walking around until they find a random hole which they go inside of, and what the heck? This is the most random stuff I have ever seen, where the speedrunner just places in the eyes of ender and enters the end. Once they're in the end, they just walk around normally until some arrows and a bow randomly fall from the sky. Now that the speedrunner has a bow and arrow, they can break all of the end crystals. But the speedrunner is shooting like 2 feet in front of them, but the end crystals are somehow breaking. And they do this over and over again until eventually all of the end crystals break. And if you thought these shenanigans would stop there, you're completely wrong, because they do this against the ender dragon as well, constantly shooting 2 blocks in front of them, but the ender dragon is somehow taking damage. And eventually the ender dragon dies and the speedrunner wins the speedrun. This speedrun starts pretty normal until we can see the speedrunner's friend inside chat. But whenever you speedrun, you're only allowed to speedrun by yourself, which means this speedrun is probably going to be fake. The speedrunner's friend mines a tree, but it took them 0.8 seconds to mine it, when trees typically take 1 second to mine. So I think the speedrunner's friend has efficiency on their hand or something. Well, they make a wooden pickaxe and mine all day long. It's now nighttime, so a zombie begins attacking them, but the speedrunner's friend has a torch, so they survive. The speedrunner finds a village and begins trading with a villager, but the villager has some terrible trades. So the speedrunner tries to punch them, but an iron golem comes out of nowhere, and he is not happy. The speedrunner gets absolutely destroyed by the iron golem. Oh wait, this is the wrong footage. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. It is literally my dream to one day reach 100,000 subscribers, and I'm not even halfway there. So if you could help me get one step closer towards my dream, that would genuinely make my entire day. This speedrun seems like it's pretty professional because they start with a timer in the top corner. But once they load in, they start in their 4th hotbar slot, which is an immediate sign that the speedrun could be fake because you always start in your 1st hotbar slot. But the speedrunner turns around and finds a pyramid. They break some dead bushes on their way towards the pyramid, ultimately giving them 8 sticks. Well, they enter the pyramid and break a block, and once the block breaks, they land down below. They open the first chest, which has normal loot. They take the gold and a sand block and open the next chest, which also has normal loot. They open the 3rd chest, which also has normal loot, but there is also a diamond, which is a pretty lucky thing to get out of a pyramid chest. But as soon as they get the diamond, we can see inside chat that they got the achievement diamonds, which means if they did indeed go inside a creative and place this diamond inside there, they would have already gotten the achievement beforehand. So that means that they never placed the diamond inside this chest, and it's actually legit. But the speedrunner opens the next chest and finds some more diamonds. Not only that, but there's also a golden chest plate, and golden chest plates cannot naturally spawn inside of pyramid chests. So maybe the diamonds weren't fake, but the golden chest plate definitely is. The speedrunner takes the diamonds, some blocks, and the golden chest plate. They then use the blocks to build out of the pyramid. They then begin wandering in a random direction until they suddenly see a village on their left and a ruined portal on their right. But before they go to either one, they first mine a tree. They mine 3 logs and make themselves a crafting table. They then place down the crafting table and make themselves a diamond pickaxe. They start heading towards the ruined portal, and once they're there, they look for a chest, but they cannot find it. So instead, they clear out the lava and begin mining the crying obsidian so they can actually form a portal. They mine 2 crying obsidian, and then they mine the corner block of the portal and place it at the top. They take the gold block, and they start digging around to try and find the chest. And eventually, they find it. But the chest only has 2 obsidian, and normally a ruined portal chest would have a lot more stuff than just 2 obsidian. Well, either way, they take the 2 obsidian and finish the portal, but they don't have a flint flint and steel. But they close your inventory and reopen it and find a flint and steel which somehow even duplicates. So now they have 2. Now if you were expecting me to explain how they somehow did that, I'm sorry, I have no idea how they did that. Well, they light the portal and enter the Nether. Once in the Nether, they look around and they realize that they got a pretty bad spawn. But that's when they suddenly start digging in the wall. They start by building a staircase up and eventually just start digging straight. They do this for a decent amount of time until they somehow find themselves inside of a bastion. And there's a lot of brutes coming for them. So they start by hitting their feet and then they use their flint and steel to light all the brutes on fire. Eventually, they all die and the speedrunner can now loot the chests which have some normal loot other than the fact that there's some ender pearls inside of them, which is of course not normal loot. They take the ender pearls and some other loot as well, and then they loot the second chest which also has ender pearls, giving them a total of 5 ender pearls. They then begin making their way back towards their tunnel and they go back into the portal even though they don't have blaze rods. Once they're back in the overworld, they start running in the direction where they believe they saw the village from before. Eventually they do find it, but they also find a weird sand path that goes across the lake right here, which is very obviously not naturally generated. The speedrunner does some very cool block placements, which makes me believe that they're actually good at speedrunning. So the fact that they're cheating is genuinely just confusing. They also do some weird bridging for literally no reason. I guess they're just trying to show off or something. Once they're in the village, they start by mining some hay bales, and they go around the village a little bit, and we can see tons and tons of iron golems. Even though each village inside of Minecraft usually only has 1 iron golem. The speedrunner suddenly mines a wall and opens a barrel to find 5 blaze powder, which is obviously fake. They take the 5 blaze powder and mine through a village's fence and into their grass just to find an end portal under their house, which of course is only missing 5 eyes of ender. So the speedrunner goes in their inventory and makes 5 eyes of ender and places in all the eyes to enter the end. Once they're in the end, there's already a hole for them to go up, so they place down blocks until they're at the top. And this part of the speed run is very, very weird because as we can see, there are tons of endermen, there's just no ender dragon. And instead of going in the portal, the speedrunner spams random blocks and then they go in the portal. And they finish with a time of 7 minutes and 43 seconds, giving them the new world record. This speedrunner loads into the world and we can see they spawn in a savanna biome. But if we look right here, we can see what appears to be a farm, which means the speedrunner probably spawned right next to a village. But the speedrunner starts by going towards the village and they take 4 hay bales. They then begin mining a tree where they take 2 logs and turn the 2 logs into planks, which they use for sticks and a crafting table. And now at this part, I want you to listen to what the speedrunner is saying.
I can't believe we got this lucky with a village. Yes.
But that's not what I want you to focus on. Instead, if we look in the top right, we can see a floating thing of water, which could be a world generation glitch, but I'm honestly not too sure. Well, the speedrunner goes up to a villager's house and says this.
Let's see this house. What do we got? Oh, a chest. Yes.
Did you see what I saw? Well, if you didn't hear, I'll tell you. Soon as they walked into the village, we can see a pressure plate on the ground. And soon as they stepped on the pressure plate, they gained a diamond. Now what happens next makes this speedrun insanely obvious that it's fake.
Acacia sapling, gold nugget, and short grass. Yes. Oh my god. I'm so happy. I can literally celebrate. Let's go. I got so much good stuff. Oh my goodness. Yes.
The speedrunner acted like they were celebrating and dancing, when in reality, they were just walking on and off the pressure plate so they could get some more diamonds. Where the speedrunner places down their crafting table and makes himself a diamond pickaxe and also a diamond sword. Now at this point, I thought the speedrunner could not get weirder than this, but I was wrong because this happens.
Alright, hopefully we can find some more super... Oh my goodness! No way! We found watermelons! I've been looking for watermelons for so long! Finally, yes! It's like a dream come true!
Yeah, the speedrunner couldn't believe they found watermelons when right in front of them was a full set of iron armor. Because watermelons are way more important than iron armor, let's be honest. The speedrunner even says they can't believe they got lucky enough to find watermelon.
I cannot believe I got that lucky to find watermelon!
Okay, let's just ignore the speedrunner for now. Well, the speedrunner goes inside of a house and finds a chest. And inside the chest is tons of obsidian and an iron ingot. Now, I'm gonna be honest, this stuff being inside the chest is completely fake. And the speedrunner's reaction honestly gives it away.
A chest, let's go! Oh my goodness, obsidian and iron! Oh my goodness, I feel so lucky today. Today is my lucky day!
Yeah, today is your lucky day, I'm sure. Well, the speedrunner leaves the house, but the speedrunner realizes that they're missing something, and they say this.
Oh my goodness, I have enough to make a portal now. Now all I need is a flint flint and steel, and all I have is an iron, but where the heck am I gonna get flint? Oh my goodness, gravel, no way!
Yeah, they found a pile of gravel that definitely doesn't look suspicious at all. Well, the speedrunner starts mining all of the gravel, and eventually they mine it all. But for some reason, the speedrunner doesn't get a flint. Or at least that's what I thought, until this happened.
Was there actually no flint? Oh my goodness, there was! I cannot believe I didn't see it somehow.
How could there have possibly been flint here? Because we just watched the speedrunner break all of the gravel and they got no flint. Which makes this very, very confusing. Not only that, but there's also a mushroom cow on the right side of the screen here, which the speedrunner for some reason doesn't even look at. And this is also very confusing because everybody knows that mushroom cows can only spawn inside of jungles. So I'm genuinely very confused why there is a mushroom cow here. When after the speedrunner has the flint, they make themselves a flint and steel and begin constructing the nether portal. They finish the nether portal and light the portal and enter the nether. But wait, before they get into the nether, I'm gonna warn you ahead of time that this part of the speedrun is absolutely crazy. Because once the speedrunner is inside the nether, they first look around to see if they got a good spawn.
Alright, hopefully I got a good spawn. Ooh, this is not a good spawn. Oh no, I don't see a fortress or anything.
They said they got a bad spawn, and that's what I thought too, until this happened.
Oh my goodness gracious. Why is there a cat? Okay, let's ignore that. Oh my god, what the heck is this? Trade here? Oh my god, there's so many llamas!
Why is there a sign that says trade here with tons of llamas? More importantly, why was there a lever here and also a dispenser here? I have so many questions. Well, for some reason, the speedrunner thinks they can trade with llamas, so they drop their gold nugget and say they'll be back later.
And I'll be back in a little bit to see if I got any eyes of ender. Alright, you guys have fun. Bye-bye.
The speedrunner comes back to the llamas, but wait, I noticed something very, very suspicious here. So earlier, whenever they walked past the lever was flicked up. And now that they came back, the lever is flicked down. And I'm pretty sure this lever is connected to the dispenser that we saw earlier. So I think the speedrunner flicked the lever, which must have dropped something in the pile of llamas. And I'm pretty sure I'm right, because this happens.
Alright guys, I'm back. Hopefully I got some good stuff. Alright, let's see these. Oh my goodness, 5 eyes of ender. You guys are so nice. Oh my goodness, I love you llamas.
Yeah, the speedrunner said they loved the llamas, but ended up killing every single llama. This speedrunner is absolutely crazy, I'm not gonna lie. They even tried acting like they didn't know where the llamas went to.
Huh, where did all the llamas go? Not too sure. Well, I guess they had to go bye-bye or something. Well, I'm going back to the village. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm sure the llamas had to go bye-bye. You definitely didn't kill them. The speedrunner is now back in the village, and then something absolutely crazy happens.
Alright, we made it back to the village. Let me eat some watermelon. Oh, that's some good watermelon. Wait, what the heck? What the heck is that up there?
You know what? I'm done. What the heck just happened? The speedrunner looked right at the mushroom cow, but for some reason said nothing about it, which is genuinely just confusing. If I saw a mushroom cow in my world, I would definitely say something about it. Well, the speedrunner goes up to the stone brick that they saw in the mountain, and they mine through it just to find a stronghold. But they forgot the name of what the stronghold is called.
Let me see what this is. Oh my goodness! It is the secret. I forgot what you call it.
This is just embarrassing. I don't know what's happening. Well, the speedrunner goes up to the portal and they realize that they need 5 eyes of ender to finish the portal, which coincidentally, they have 5 eyes of ender in their inventory. They even say this to try to make it seem like they're just lucky when we know that they're clearly not.
Oh my goodness. Oh, what the heck? I need 5 eyes of ender and I have 5? Oh my goodness, that has got to be the most luckiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You know what, sheep? You can go in the portal first. Let me know how it is.
I can't believe the speedrunner just sent a sheep into the end. Like, this speedrunner's gotta be crazy or something. Well, the speedrunner waits a little bit before they go into the end because they had the sheep test and make sure if it was safe or not. But of course, the sheep doesn't respond.
Oh, I think the sheep is not coming back.
Yeah, obviously the sheep is not coming back, let's be honest. Well, the speedrunner jumps into the portal and they find the sheep.
Oh, hello, sheep. You survived. Oh my goodness, thank goodness you survived. You're my only friend.
The speedrunner just said that the sheep was their only friend. So what do you think happens next? A, the speedrunner and the sheep have an epic battle where they defeat the ender dragon. B, the speedrunner makes sure the sheep is safe while they defeat the ender dragon. Or C, they kill the sheep. Come on, you gotta pick one, A, B, or C. Come on, hurry up, pick. Alright, if you picked A, you are incorrect because it's C. Because of course it is. But the speedrunner turns around and finds a ladder. They climb the ladder and they start making their way towards the ender dragon. And the speedrunner says something that is very confusing.
And you know, it's a good thing I gathered beds earlier so I could kill the ender dragon with my beds.
If we rewind the footage and look at any point during this speedrun, we can see that the speedrunner not once picked up a bed. So where they got the beds from is genuinely very confusing. But they wait until the dragon perches, and once it does, they place down a bed which actually blows them up and gets them extremely low. But they're not done, because they end up just blowing themselves up, and their reaction is priceless.
Oh, what the heck? Wait, let me... What the heck? That's it. I'm done. Huh, you're mean.
They just called the ender dragon mean and then they rage quit. That is gonna be the most embarrassing speedrun I think I've ever watched. This speedrun starts right next to a desert village. And the first thing they do is head into the village, but they cannot sprint. This is because they're literally about to die of hunger. There's no way they started a speedrun already losing hunger bars. But once the speedrunner is inside the village, they of course get themselves some food, but then as soon as they're done eating their food, we get a slight glimpse of this blue plank, which is a type of wood that does not spawn inside the desert, as it can only spawn inside the end. But the speedrunner explores the village a little bit more until they find 3 randomly placed chests. So they go up to the first chest and open it, where they find tons of diamonds. So they take the chest full of diamonds and go up to the second chest where they find more diamonds. Okay, well, they go up to the third chest, but wait, I have a weird feeling that this last chest is gonna have diamonds inside of it. So if I'm right, I think everyone should subscribe. Well, the speedrunner opens the chest and finds more diamonds. Who would have guessed? Well, I guess that means that everyone now has to subscribe. Well, now that the speedrunner has 2.69 billion diamonds, they enter a villager's house which has a crafting table. So the speedrunner crafts himself full diamond armor. You're probably thinking that the speedrunner has some pretty overpowered loot. And that's what I thought too, until the speedrunner randomly wanders around and finds a random chest. So they open this random chest where they find insanely overpowered loot. I honestly didn't even know that they could get more overpowered loot than what they already had. But the speedrunner takes all of this loot and heads into the Mangrove Swamp biome. As they go deeper inside of it, they find a random desert area in the middle of the swamp. Not only that, but they also find a buried ruin portal. But here is where things get rather strange, because as they go up to the ruin portal, they dig in a very specific spot where they find the chest to the ruin portal. Now, I'm just confused how they knew that the chest was here, because something's telling me that they definitely are cheating. Well, they open the chest and surprisingly find some pretty normal loot, but they only needed this chest for the flint and steel. So they take the flint and steel and build out of the hole. They then for the next minute just dig out the entirety of the ruin portal until all the sand is out of the way. They then light the nether portal and enter the nether. Once they're in the nether, we can spot something that is very unnatural. A soul sand bridge that weirdly leads to absolutely nowhere. So the speedrunner follows this bridge until 2 ghast start shooting at them. So they place some obsidian around them and then go in third person where we can see this very odd chest. I guess going in third person gave them a whole new perspective on things. Well, they open the chest and find tons of blaze rods and also some ender pearls. So the speedrunner takes all the loot and heads back towards the nether portal. Now, once they're back in the overworld, they build out of the hole and then turn their blaze rods into blaze powder and make themselves some eyes of ender. They then throw the eyes of ender and follow it into the Mangrove Swamp, where eventually they find an end portal, so they place in the eyes of ender and enter the end. Once they're in the end, the speedrunner kinda messes up because they're trapped in a box and they have no pickaxe. That is until the speedrunner goes up to the wall and backs up and they're suddenly out of the hole, which I'm pretty sure is not legit. The speedrunner then uses their bow to shoot out all the end crystals, but then tons and tons of endermen start attacking them. And I think this makes the speedrunner extremely frustrated because in the blink of an eye, all the endermen die, including the ender dragon. The speedrunner could even beat the ender dragon with their cheated items, which is honestly just embarrassing. This speedrunner starts by running a tank into a tree? What the heck? Oh wait, this is the wrong footage. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I will actually be very sad if you don't subscribe, so you better subscribe. The speedrunner starts inside of a snowy village, but for some reason they're on a snowy icicle. Well, the speedrunner goes down the icicle and immediately gets some carrots from a farm. But then this cute little rabbit wants some carrots, so they smack it. The speedrunner then goes throughout the village until they find the blacksmith. So once they enter the blacksmith, they open the chest and find full iron armor, which, don't get me wrong, isn't impossible, but is actually pretty rare to get full iron armor out of one chest from the blacksmith. The speedrunner takes all the loot and puts on the iron armor. They then mine some wood to get themselves some sticks and enter another villager's house where they for some reason open a furnace and find 3 diamonds. I'm not sure why there's 3 diamonds inside of a furnace, but I guess I'm just crazy or something. The speedrunner then places down a crafting table and makes himself a diamond pickaxe. Now that they have a diamond pickaxe, they find some coal, and whenever they go to mine it, they realize that on the other side is a nether portal. Well, I guess the speedrunner goes through the portal, and once they're in the nether, they suddenly have a diamond sword, which if we look back inside the footage, they definitely did not have a diamond sword. They also have like 100 piglins trying to kill them, so they begin running away when all of a sudden the piglins just stop attacking them. And that's when we can see that the speedrunner has a golden helmet, which they definitely did not have before. Well, the speedrunner tries to fight the blazes, but the blazes get him down to half a heart, and just as he's about to die, he is suddenly full HP. So I think the speedrunner died, but just cut out the part where they actually died. Well, instead of killing the blazes for blaze rods, the speedrunner instead just breaks the spawner. And once they go up to the portal, they open up their inventory where we can see that they already have blaze rods, even though they killed 0 blazes. Well, they go back to the portal and into the overworld, where they find this absolutely insane sugarcane farm. Even though I'm pretty sure villagers don't even use sugarcane farms, well, the speedrunner breaks the entire sugarcane farm and then goes across this lake, where they see a chunky piece of snow, so they break it and then begin digging straight down. They keep on digging straight down, where they eventually find themselves in the stronghold. Wow, what are the chances that they spawn on top of the stronghold? Pretty lucky, huh? They break the silverfish spawner, and turns out that they only need 1 more Eye of Ender. So they turn around and find a random chest, which of course has 1 Eye of Ender. They place in the Eye of Ender and enter the end. Once they're in the end, they dig out of the hole and begin wandering around the end, where they realize that there's just no Ender Dragon. So I guess the Ender Dragon just took a day off or something. Well, they go through the portal and win the speedrun. The speedrunner starts in a plains biome and immediately goes to mine a tree. Once they have enough logs, they make themselves a crafting table and start making their way across the plains biome until they find a cave with some iron and some coal. So they place down their crafting table and make themselves a wooden pickaxe. They then mine some stone and make themselves a stone pickaxe, which they use to mine the iron and the coal, which they smelt, and make themselves a bucket. They then take all their loot and head back to where they spawned at, but that's when we see this lava pool, which looks kinda weird, because normal lava pools usually have stone around them, which means that it's naturally generated, which makes me think that this speedrunner just placed down the lava here to fake the speedrun. But they fill their bucket up with water and try to make themselves a portal, but fail miserably. But that's when they look up into the sky and turn around, and there's suddenly a portal there, even though if you look back in the footage, there was definitely no portal there. But they can't even go to the nether because they don't have a flint and steel. But that's when they go up to this flower and dig next to it, and directly under it is a flint and steel. So they take the flint and steel and light the nether portal and enter the nether. Once they're in the nether, they go down this long cave and find some blaze rods just sitting on the ground. I don't think blaze rods just randomly drop on the ground like this. So they take the blaze rods and go back through the portal and into the overworld. Once in the overworld, they turn their blaze rods into blaze powder and then begin mining a tree, which they dig directly below and find an end portal. But the thing is, the speedrunner doesn't have any ender pearls. Wait, what? I don't recall them ever getting any ender pearls throughout the speedrun, but maybe I just forgot? Well, they place in the Eyes of Ender and enter the end. But once they're in the end, they think they can make this jump, but whenever they try, they miserably fail. And I'm pretty sure they rage quit because the speedrun just ends there. This first speedrun starts right next to a desert village. So speedrunner starts heading towards the village and begins breaking wheat for some bread. Once they get 8 hay bales, they enter a house which for some reason has a turtle, even though I'm pretty sure turtles only spawn inside of the end. So the fact that there's a turtle right here is a little bit suspicious. Well, they punch the turtle and then leave the house. They then enter another house, but wait, if we rewind the footage and stop it here, we can see that the door was already open. But if they started a new world, a door would not already be open because villagers always open and then close the door behind them. Well, the speedrunner goes into the house and breaks the beds, which is actually a pro speedrunner strategy. They then open the chest, which actually has some normal loot. They take the bread from the chest and leave the house. They make their way towards another house, which has a door that's already open. And once again, they take the beds and open the chest, and oh my goodness, why is there so much bread? Okay, well, they take all the bread and they now have 48 bread. I think that's enough food for a speedrun. They leave the house and wander around the village a little bit more until they enter a house which has a crafting table. They turn their hay bales into wheat and they now have over a stack of wheat. But for some reason, they only make one bread. Okay then. They leave the house and use their insane parkour skills to jump across this cave. And that's when they find another house. But if I pause it here, there is something very, very strange about this house. And if you didn't immediately see it, you need to get your eyes checked. Because the door is literally a spruce door. When if we look back at all the other houses, they were not spruce doors. Which if you ask me, is very, very strange. Well, the speedrunner enters this house and finds an iron pickaxe on the wall, which is actually legit and only has a 69% chance of spawning. They take the iron pickaxe and also take the bed and leave the house. They then jump into the cave and find a giant hole with some water. So they jump into the water and they find some gold. They mine the gold and find a nether portal? Okay. I didn't know nether portals could randomly spawn like this. But there is a problem. The speedrunner doesn't have a flint and steel. So how the heck are they possibly gonna light the nether portal? Wait, what? Did you guys just watch what I just watched? Yeah, I had to replay this like 11 times and I still have no idea how they did that. Well, now that the nether portal is lit, they enter the nether. And I'm warning you ahead of time, this nether goes crazy. Because they spawn in a random box. Not only that, there's also a sign that says not suspicious barrel. And right next to it is a barrel. So the speedrunner opens the barrel and finds tons of ender eyes. Oh my goodness, you don't even need that many ender eyes. Well, the speedrunner takes all of the ender eyes and leaves the nether. And now that they're back in the overworld, they realize that there is no way they're getting all the way back up because they have no blocks. So they turn around to go back into the nether. Wait, what are they doing? Oh my god, a ladder? The speedrunner climbs all the way up the ladder and breaks the sand at the top. And now they're at the surface of the cave. So they run out of the cave, and that's when I thought that they were gonna go back into the village. But instead, they run in a completely random direction. They keep running in this area for quite some time until they find this. Yup, this is definitely legit. The speedrunner places in all of their eyes of ender, and now that they're in the end, we can see that the ender dragon has literally 0 HP. I don't even know how it's alive. But the speedrunner places a super cool bed trap, and eventually the ender dragon perches. And once it gets close enough, the speedrunner blows up the bed and wins the speedrun in record time. The speedrunner starts right next to an acacia village. They just wander around for a little bit until they start breaking every single bed inside the village. They then somehow one-hit the iron golem, which I didn't even know was possible until I realized that it was literally Shrek. So this part actually does make sense. They mine a tree and make themselves a crafting table to make themselves a bucket. They fill their bucket up with water and throw it at a lava pool, and now they have a nether portal? Once I saw this part, I knew the speedrun was fake. Oh wait, I just realized this is the wrong footage. Oh my god, guys, why didn't you tell me? If you guys could just do me a huge favor and just simply subscribe, that would genuinely make my entire day. This next speedrun starts right next to a ruined portal. So the speedrunner starts off by running towards the portal, and once they get there, they open the chest, and the chest has some normal loot, like obsidian, golden carrots, and several golden tools. You know, the normal loot. They take all of this loot, but wait, if we pause it right here, we can see that the sun in the background is setting, which only happens if the world has been up for at least 10 minutes. But we're literally only 20 seconds into the speedrun, which proves that the speedrun is going to be fake. Well, they start mining some netherrack for some blocks, they fill in the rest of the nether portal, and then use their blocks to get rid of the lava. They then use the fire charge to light the portal, and then they enter the nether. Once the speedrunner is inside of the nether, they go to a random corner and then suddenly start digging straight down. But their golden pickaxe breaks, so they have to mine the rest of the netherrack with their fist. And after 20 seconds of mining, they fall into a hole. And this is when they turn on their coordinates. They then begin walking around like the coordinates are actually telling them something, and then they go into a random corner and start digging straight down. And they find a chest, and inside of it is tons of blaze rods. Okay, there is no way the coordinates told them that there was a secret chest right there. The speedrunner takes all of the blaze rods, and they now have 27, which is a lot more than you would typically need for a speedrun. The speedrunner suddenly turns on their coordinates once again, and they walk around some more until they suddenly think that there's something else beneath them. So they dig straight down again and find another chest. But this time, there's ender pearls inside of the chest. Okay, let's be honest, guys. This speedrun is completely cursed, and they now have everything they need to be able to go to the end. So the speedrunner starts making their way all the way back towards their portal, and eventually they make it there. Now that they're in the overworld, they start running around back and forth for a little bit, trying to remember where to go. Eventually they figure it out and throw an ender pearl, and once it lands, they begin mining a tree. They get 6 logs and make it into a crafting table. They then use the crafting table to make themselves a boat, and they also make some doors. They place down their boat into the sea, and then turn on their coordinates again, acting like they know what they're doing when, let's be honest, they have no idea what they're doing. They start sailing across the ocean for quite some time until eventually they get out of their boat. They swim down to the ocean floor and place their door. I did not mean to rhyme there, but you know, it sounded cool. They then dig straight down, and now they're right next to an end portal. So the speedrunner turns their blaze rods into blaze powder and makes themselves some eyes of ender. They then place in all of their eyes of ender and enter the end. Once they're in the end, they build up to the main island with some wood that they had, and if we pause it right here, we can see that there are 2 ender pearls just randomly laying there on the ground, which I'm going to be honest is just simply not possible. Where the speedrunner picks up both of the ender pearls and puts them into their hotbar. But wait, by now we should be able to see the ender dragon's health, but we just simply don't see it, which makes me believe that there's just simply no ender dragon in the end. But the reason I'm saying this now and not a little bit later when it's pretty obvious that there's no ender dragon is because the speedrunner looks into the eyes of an enderman and then throws an ender pearl to try to get away from it, and by some miracle the ender pearl lands directly in the middle of the portal, causing them to see the credits. This speedrunner's aim with ender pearls must be absolutely crazy for that to somehow happen. This speedrunner starts in the middle of nowhere, which is usually not the best start for a speedrun. But the speedrunner doesn't care, and they immediately just go over to mine a tree. They take 4 logs from the tree and turn them into planks, and they use those planks to make into a crafting table. The speedrunner then places down their crafting table, makes some sticks, and then makes a sign where they place down the sign and write, "Pea kinda tastes good." What the? Well, they then begin shaking their head up and down. Even though I'm not gonna lie, this speedrunner is a weirdo. They begin running away from the sign and randomly jump into this lake. They swim around for a little bit until they find this weird hole. And inside the hole is the weirdest things I have ever seen in my entire life. We got a broken portal, tons of random buttons, and striders in jail. Like, what the heck is going on? The speedrunner goes over to the striders and then starts punching all of them for literally no reason. They then begin pressing a bunch of random buttons, and then they jump into the portal. Once they're in the end, we can see this very weird path, which I don't think is naturally generated. The speedrunner goes across the path, and eventually they're on the main island. Once there, we can see that there's no enderman. Not only that, there's no ender dragon, but there is a sign that says the ender dragon is busy celebrating Christmas. I'm pretty sure we're in July, not December, so this literally makes no sense. Well, the speedrunner ignores that and just jumps into the portal. This speedrunner spawns in and immediately turns around and finds a pillager outpost and a ruin portal, which, if you ask me, is a pretty lucky spawn. The speedrunner first goes to the pillager outpost, but tons of pillagers start attacking them. So the speedrunner enters the outpost, and once he gets to the top, he sees tons of pillagers and shulkers? Wait a minute, why are there shulkers in a pillager outpost? Because shulkers only spawn inside of caves, which means there's no way for a shulker to possibly be inside this outpost. Well, because of how many mobs there are, the speedrunner instantly dies, but they spawn back in. And set the difficulty to peaceful? I'm pretty sure this breaks the rules of speedrunning. But the speedrunner goes back to the pillager outpost and can now attack the shulkers without them attacking him. So he opens the chest and finds tons of golden apples. Alright, he is definitely cheating just like my dad cheats on my mom. Wait, what? Well, he takes the golden apples and leaves the pillager outpost. Once the speedrunner is at the ruin portal, they loot the chest and surprisingly find some pretty normal loot. The only thing weird about this is that they have the exact amount of obsidian they need to fix the ruin portal. So they place down their obsidian and light the ruin portal. Once in the nether, the speedrunner finds a conveniently placed path of just gold ore. So of course the speedrunner follows the path, which of course leads him right to a nether fortress. Wait, why is this nether fortress filled with horses? And first of all, the horses shouldn't even be inside of a nether fortress because horses can only spawn in the desert. But once the speedrunner is in the fortress, they look around for a little bit until they find a house. They enter the small pink house and find a sign that says present from Herobrine. Let's just ignore the fact that the speedrunner is clearly in like first grade. And if this chest has some clearly cheated loot, I feel like that should mean that everyone should subscribe. Well, they open the chest and find a stack of eyes of ender, because of course they do. They take the eyes of ender and make their way back towards the nether portal. Once they're back in the overworld, wait, what the heck? How did this end portal get here? Because if we look back in the footage, there was definitely not an end portal here, which means this speedrunner must be using some magical powers. Well, they place in the eyes of ender and enter the end. Once they're in the end, we can very quickly realize that there is just no ender dragon, but there are tons of diamond blocks and a sign, which says Herobrine killed dragon? Oh wow, thank you Herobrine, you're so nice. And that's how the speedrunner got the world record for the fastest speedrun. This speedrunner starts by looking down at the ground, but whenever they look up, they see a zombie spinning on a pole? Wait, what the heck is going on? Why are they giving him emeralds? Oh wait, this is the wrong footage. My bad. I am super close to 20,000 subscribers, so you better subscribe. This speedrunner starts right next to a village. So they immediately go to the village and enter the closest house. And in the house is a block I've actually never seen before. But the speedrunner speedrunner ignores this very strange block and leaves the house. They then find a horse with a saddle already attached to it, which only has a 2% chance of spawning. So the speedrunner rides the horse and begins running off into the distance, until eventually they can see a ruined portal out in the distance. But wait, is that ruined portal already lit? The chances of there being an already lit nether portal are literally impossible. But once the speedrunner is at the nether portal, they exit the horse and loot the chest, which has some normal loot. They then enter the portal, and once inside the nether, the speedrunner finds a creeper head and a sign. And the sign says, "Twerk on creeper for special gift." What the heck? Surely the speedrunner isn't gonna— Wait, oh my god, what are you doing? Wait, how do they have eyes of ender all of a sudden? I am literally so confused what just happened. But the speedrunner takes her special gift and leaves the nether. But once they're in the overworld, they look around and their horse is literally nowhere to be seen. So the speedrunner ends up running all the way back to the village. But that's when the speedrunner types inside chat, BRB? Why is the speedrunner going AFK inside of a speedrun? It might be some new pro tactic, you never know. Well, eventually the speedrunner comes back and they go deeper inside the village, until they end up finding a sign with a hole behind it. And the sign says, "Not stronghold." Honestly, I think this sign is telling the truth. But the speedrunner jumps down the hole and dies. Oh wait, never mind. I meant to say they easily make it down the hole, which led them to the stronghold. Well, I guess that sign was lying. Not only is the end portal already lit, there's also a chest and a bed. And inside the chest is insanely overpowered loot. So the speedrunner takes some of the loot, sets their spawn point, and enters the end. Once in the end, they have to make a very difficult jump. So the speedrunner tries to make the jump and fails. Oh wait, never mind, they easily made it. Oh, I could have sworn they fell there. Maybe it's just a glitch or something. Well, now that the speedrunner easily made the jump, they can now kill the ender dragon. Why is the ender dragon on 1 HP? Well, all the speedrunner has to do is hit the dragon one time, but I think they shoot over a stack of arrows but consistently keep on missing. Honestly, I don't think there's a single person who has worse aim than this speedrunner. Eventually, they hit one shot and it kills the ender dragon. And that's how the speedrunner finishes his speedrun. This speedrunner starts inside of a village. They immediately turn into the right and go in third person, where we can see a strange emerald block on top of this roof. I'm guessing it was there to symbolize that building, so that way they know which building to go inside of. And that's exactly what they do. They go inside of that building and find a chest. And inside that chest is a strange amount of obsidian. So the speedrunner takes all the obsidian and leaves the house. Once outside, the speedrunner finds some floating obsidian, which I guess is there because he forgot to break his last nether portal. So with the speedrunner's very legit obsidian, they begin to make themselves another portal. Oh, they messed up. So they try making another nether portal, but they mess up again. Well, you know what they say, third time's a charm, and they build the nether portal. The only problem is they have no flint and steel to light the nether portal. Wait, what the heck is that? I don't think villagers randomly have a flint and steel inside of an item frame, but maybe I'm just missing an update. Well, the speedrunner takes the flint and steel and lights the nether portal, but instead of going inside the nether portal, the speedrunner turns around and begins to mine a random piece of grass which has TNT below it. Well, I wonder how they knew that was there. Well, now that the speedrunner has the TNT, they now go inside of the nether portal, and once in the nether, they look around for a little bit until they decide to mine a block and place their TNT inside of it. But once the TNT blows up, they find a chest. So the speedrunner opens the chest and finds tons of ender eyes. Wait, what? There's also a pitcher pod? What the heck is a pitcher pod? Well, the speedrunner takes all the eyes of ender and the pitcher pod, I guess, and goes back through the nether portal and into the overworld. Once in the overworld, the speedrunner finds a dragon egg and they just stare at it. So, how's your day? They find some stone sticking out of the ground and they jump on top of it to do some insane house parkour and find an end portal? I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure end portals don't just randomly spawn on top of villagers' roofs. But the speedrunner places in their eyes of ender and enters the end. Once at the end, the speedrunner is trapped inside of some end stone. And since they don't have a pickaxe, there's literally no way for them to get out. So how do you think the speedrunner is gonna get out of this hole? A, mine out with their fist. B, magically get a pickaxe. C, going creative. Or D, leave. Well, if you chose C, you are wrong, because they just leave the speedrun. This speedrunner starts inside of a swamp biome, which if you know anything about speedrunning, you know is probably the worst biome to speedrun in. They start off by finding tons of ocelots for some reason, which is kind of weird because everyone knows that ocelots only spawn inside of those pink tree biomes. But the speedrunner ignores the ocelots and begins to mine a tree. They get a few logs and turn the logs into planks, which they use to make a crafting table. Once they place down their crafting table, they make themselves a pressure plate and some trap doors. this. The speedrunner places down the pressure plate and there are trapdoors right next to it and just sits there and looks at their amazing contraption. Eventually, the speedrunner gets bored and starts doing some weird stuff to this cow. And honestly, at this point, I'm confused how this is even a speedrun. The speedrunner then starts to attack this random baby Ocelot for literally no reason. The speedrunner gets bored and starts making their way up a mountain. Once they get to the top, they see this giant cave that for some reason has torches inside the cave, which I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure torches don't just naturally spawn. But the speedrunner explores the cave for a little bit until they find an end portal. But the speedrunner obviously does not have any ender eyes. So they go in creative and give themselves some ender eyes. Wait, what? They place in the eyes of ender and enter the end. Once in the end, they go up to the dragon and type inside chat, "Dragon, die!" Which if you ask me is obviously not gonna work. Wait, what? Well, the dragon is now dead and the speedrunner goes to the portal, but wait a minute. They start to come up with an evil plan. They explode the entire end and then they go through the portal. If you enjoyed that video, you should probably click this video as well because you will enjoy this one just as much.